Pope Francis has called for world financial reform, saying that we suffered from a dictatorship of the economy, that the financial system had made life worse for millions of people in rich and poor countries, and he said there was a cult of money. Now, this was interesting to hear from Pope Francis, since the Catholic Church and the Vatican are well known for having a huge amount of wealth. So we thought we'd put together a list of the Catholic Church and the Vatican's top 10 most valuable assets.
In a New Statesman article from 2011, the Pope was named the third biggest landowner in the world. The land he owns includes the 110 acres that make up the Vatican City inside Italy, plus around 177 million acres from land plots all over the world that are owned by the Catholic Church. Only King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia and Queen Elizabeth of the UK own more land than the current Pope.
According to an investigative report by The Guardian, Mussolini's fascist regime gave the Vatican a vast sum of money in the 1920s in return for papal recognition. The Vatican used that money to set up a secretive property portfolio now worth more than £500 million. It includes 30 St James's Square, 168 New Bond Street, property in Coventry, Paris and Switzerland. The Vatican claimed the money was given to them as compensation for lost property.
The Vatican itself, with all its museums, is quite a good earner. It receives up to 5 million visitors a year, charging up to €16 per ticket. And then, of course, there's all the memorabilia on sale inside as well. A very tidy earner indeed.
The Vatican owns a mind-boggling collection of artworks, including world-famous pieces by Michelangelo, Caravaggio and Raphael. There's no way of telling how much they're all worth in total. But if you imagine that this Raphael sketch sold for close to 30 million quid on its own last year, then imagine rooms full of his paintings and hundreds of rooms full of the world's greatest painters. Well, Peter Watson suggested the church could raise around £17 billion for the poor by selling off the Vatican's artwork. Then there's all the other ones around the world. There's even a theory, which we've read, that if the Catholic Church decided to sell just a tiny fraction of its art collection, it could cause the world market to collapse.
2 years ago, a report in the German newspaper Die Welt claimed that this publishing company was distributing porn and erotica. After the scandal, it was widely reported that the church was about to sell off the company, but when we looked on the website, we noticed it says this. The company faces the daily challenge of harmonizing its Christian worldview with the requirements of the market in a convincing manner. It focuses strongly on its values. Verlagsgruppe Weltbild's shareholders is made up of 12 Catholic dioceses, the Association of German Dioceses, as well as the Soldatenseelsorger Berlin.
In 2002, the Vatican dismissed reports that a brothel was operating on church grounds in Moscow as smears. A statement from a papal spokesman said that Franciscan friars had let out a flat on church property to someone who, without their blessing, then used it as a brothel. The Vatican condemned the behaviour, saying it was part of a despicable operation to discredit the church. So we'd like to make clear that we are not saying that the Vatican makes money from brothels.
According to Berlin political scientist Carsten Frerk, the Catholic Church claims that it is poor, but the truth is that it hides its wealth. His book, The Violet Book of Church Finances, estimates the cash assets of the church's legal entities at about $50 billion. Yes, billion with a B. The Economist magazine said that the annual spending by the Vatican and church-owned entities in the United States alone was about $170 billion in 2010. To put that in perspective, the tech giant Apple has a cash pile of about $145 billion.
In addition to gold chalices and other valuable items owned by individual churches around the world, over the past 2,000 years, the Vatican has built up a huge amount of jewels and other ornamental items. Among the collection are the fisherman's rings that have been individually made for each new pope. They're the ones that you'll see being kissed by heads of state. The actual value of these rings isn't known, but to give you some idea of their worth, Pope Benedict's ring was made up of 35 grams of pure gold and took 8 artisans working 15 hours a day for 2 weeks to make.
It's not all take though. According to that Economist survey, the church is the largest charitable organisation in the States, distributing nearly $5 billion of aid to the poor in 2010 alone.
A declassified 50-year-old Treasury Department memo written by Emerson Bigelow, yes, that is his real name, suggested that after the fall of Nazi Germany in 1946, members of the fascist Ustasha government of Croatia sent 350 million confiscated Swiss francs to the Vatican for safekeeping. The Vatican flatly denied this claim and said there is no basis in reality to the report. Truth be told, it's impossible to accurately estimate the true value of the Catholic Church and the Vatican because its investments and assets are so well guarded. A simple stroll around the Vatican City should give you some idea of the wealth the Church has accumulated over the years.
But the new Pope does seem to be shaking things up a bit. While the former Pope, Benedict, was well known for his fashion sense and love of custom red loafers, the new Pope Francis seems to take a much more humble and austere approach to getting dressed. Not only did he opt to wear black shoes instead of the traditional red ones for his first public appearance, but he also rejected having a fisherman's ring especially crafted for him, instead choosing to wear a silver ring that was originally made for Pope Paul VI. Whether this more economical approach to papal life will spill over into Pope Francis selling off some of the Vatican's assets, however, is yet to be seen.